So this is going to be a video on my loquats, and I'm growing 3 varieties of loquat here. This is my champagne loquat. This tree has been planted for about 2 years, and it was a 5-gallon size. Actually found it at Home Depot, so I was quite surprised to find it there. Champagne loquat. This is a grafted tree. And I've been noticing that this is more of a dwarf tree. It's a little bit of a more slow grower, but it did fruit the very first year when I planted it. You know, it gave me, I think, 4 or 5 loquats maybe. Second year a little bit more, and then this is the 3rd time it just fruited. So it's been in the ground going on 3 years almost. So let's take a closer look at it. Another thing I noticed is the leaves are smaller on the champagne. And what happened recently is it fruited so much. This is where some of the fruits were. They flower and fruit on the tips of the branches. It actually fruited so much that it broke in, I believe, 2 different spots. This branch broke right here. So as you can see, I cut it, and it looks like it's gonna push out some new growth already. And then it broke up here. I believe this one broke, and then this one broke. So next year I'm probably gonna thin this tree out so that it doesn't break again. But the fruit is like pear-shaped, yellow skin and yellow flesh, and it's a very good fruit, very juicy, very sweet. And loquats, of course, you gotta let them get ripe on the tree, then pick them, and they'll be quite sweet. This is the gold nugget right here. This one I planted just a little bit after the champagne, and this is how I water them. It's just a little sprayer, and you can see that the trunk is getting thicker on this one. This is gold nugget, like I said. It's grafted. This is where it was grafted, right here. You could see the thicker part right there. That's the graft. I also found this one at Home Depot, and this one's much bigger though. You can see it's much more vigorous. It's almost 10 feet tall now, and you can see the leaves are much bigger on this tree. This tree is probably grafted on loquat rootstock, where that champagne loquat over there could be grafted on a different type of rootstock. They do graft them on quince rootstock, and that would give you a more dwarf tree. But I'm not sure. What I've done in the past for other trees is I call the nurseries, not Home Depot, but for example Laverne or wherever Home Depot gets their trees from. I have called to ask questions about certain trees, and they're usually pretty good about telling you what rootstocks they use and things like that. So the gold nugget does have 2 fruits left on it. So this is pretty much the end of the season right now for me, at least. I'll probably cut one of those down in a few minutes. But gold nuggets orange on the outside and also orange on the inside. And these, I've been finding out that you really have to make sure they're perfectly ripe before you pick them, because they can be pretty sour if you pick them too early. Let me show you what the new growth looks like. The newer leaves right there. Very, very good flavor though when they are nice and ripe. Sweet with a little bit of tartness. Really beautiful looking trees. And they are very easy to grow here in Southern California. They're actually really popular here in San Diego County. I see them everywhere on the next to sidewalks. When I'm driving around working in different parts of San Diego, I see them everywhere. I'll be on a road and I see them in people's backyards. You know, they're growing up higher than the fences. I could see the fruit hanging from them. And I'm pretty sure people grab handfuls of them and walk around and just throw the seeds everywhere, because I have seen them growing in weird places where I know they weren't planted. The seeds just were thrown there and germinated and turned into trees. And they are very easy to grow from seed. I've actually done the same thing. I've been around here eating them. I throw the seeds and then they do pop up. Little loquat trees will pop up. And I got two right here. Two seedlings right there. And this is the largest one. This is a Vista white loquat. And so far, this is my favorite one. Pretty much everything about it. It's bigger. It is older though. It's been in the ground for about 4 years. The fruit though, it's my favorite loquat out of these three so far. Let me back up a little bit more so you could see the whole tree. It's getting a little bit taller. And some other varieties of loquat. There's many varieties. There's Big Jim, there's Early Red, Strawberry, Wolf, and many others. Gold Nugget seems to be the most common around here. That's what I usually see at the nurseries. And like I said, they're very easy to grow here in Southern California. I've seen them in East San Diego County, like El Cajon, up in Ramona, where it does get a little colder and definitely gets hotter. But these trees, I've also seen them in Northern California. I've got family up there, and I've seen them in Hillsburg, Santa Rosa, Geyserville, and other places in North California, and they were very large trees too. But they are hardy down to about 10 degrees. But if it gets down to 26 degrees, if it has any mature flowers on it, they will be killed. And at about 19 degrees, the flower buds would be killed. So here in Vista, where I live, my only issue, and it's not really a big deal or anything, but what has happened is August, September, you know, when we have those dry Santa Ana winds, those really dry, hot winds, I did get some leaf scorch. You know, some of the leaves just burnt, and it didn't look good, but the tree otherwise was okay. So I just cut off those burnt leaves and everything was fine. But you know, places where it gets hotter, you might get more leaf scorch. So what you can do, or what you should do, is make sure you keep it hydrated when that happens. When it's hot and dry, give it some extra water and you should be fine. Here in San Diego, we have no problems during the winter time. And actually, it's beneficial that we get our rain in the winter time here in Southern California, and I believe most of California. We get our rain in the winter time, which is when the loquat trees are flowering and developing fruit. So I haven't watered this tree since about, gosh, October or November probably. I haven't irrigated it at all since then. We got quite a bit more rain, as you guys know, if you live in California. Quite a bit more rain this year, and the fruits developed very well. You could see the birds like them too. So it's nice that we get our rain in the winter here. So they do very good because that's when they're flowering, that's when they're fruiting. And even the trees that are totally neglected seem to thrive and produce fruit. A lot of fruit actually. But what I've noticed is, since there's so many loquat trees everywhere, most of them, I mean, are untouched except by the birds. The fruit is all over the tree. Nobody picks it. But I've noticed it's small fruits because there's so much of it. So if it's in your backyard, if you own the tree, it would be a good idea to thin out the fruit so that you get bigger fruits of better quality. Of course, I do irrigate this tree, or all three of them, when it's hotter, usually about once a week. But they are pretty drought tolerant. But I like to take care of my trees and keep them hydrated. That way they grow faster and look healthier. Fertilizing. These trees are they do well in different types of soil. They're not picky about their soil. They'll do good in more acidic soil and more alkaline soil, but they do like good drainage, and they will not like to sit in water. They don't like wet feet, just like avocados and other trees. Here I'm on a slope and I have pretty good draining soil, so it's pretty happy here. I have not done any pruning on my gold nugget or my champagne, except, like I mentioned, since it broke, I had to cut some parts off. The Vista white I did prune because it's a seedling and it's been quite vigorous, but you want to prune it to keep it so that you could harvest the fruit easier and thin out the tree easier. Especially here on a slope, I don't want to be getting on a ladder. It'd be kind of dangerous, so I'm gonna try to keep this tree at about 10 feet tall. And then it's a good idea to open up the center to allow some sunlight to get down into the center of the tree. They do tolerate severe pruning. If I wanted to come here, and I would definitely do it after all the fruit is gone, but I could make 3 cuts, one here, one there, and one over here, and it would be no issue. The tree would come back very strong, sort of like a guava. You know, guavas can also tolerate some severe pruning. And these loquat trees are growing from a lot of people grow them from seed, but they are not true to seed. So since I have Vista white here, gold nugget, and champagne, if I give you some seeds from my gold nugget, you may not get the same exact fruit because it's right next to 2 other varieties. So keep that in mind. It's better to go out and get a grafted tree. This is not a grafted tree, the Vista white, but I was talking to the guys over at Exotica Nursery where I bought it, and they have different ways of making sure that their trees are true to their type. But they are grafted a lot of times, They're grafted onto Loquat seedlings or quince seedlings, like I mentioned earlier, and they plant them and grow them like these right here. These are almost ready to be grafted if I wanted to. When the stem is about a ½ inch thick, then they can be top worked. But I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that, or if I'm just gonna give these away. I'm not sure what to do yet. But if they're grafted on Loquat rootstock, they're gonna get quite big. They can get to about 20-25 feet tall eventually. But if they're grafted on quince rootstock, then they stay pretty small. And of course, the grafted varieties will produce fruit a lot sooner, whereas the seedlings take, in my experience, my Vista White took exactly 4 years to fruit for the first time. And the main pest I've been having here, not really a pest, but like you saw already, the birds come over and they eat the loquats. But I don't mind. They deserve to have a nice treat too. So I'm not complaining about it. It's okay. You can see right there. And when these trees flower, you can expect fruit you can expect to harvest the fruits about 90 days after the tree blooms. So here are 2 Vista White Loquats and 1 Gold Nugget Loquat. You can see the Gold Nugget is a little bit larger than the Vista White. They're both round fruits. The Vista White's not perfectly round, but pretty much round. And Vista White, you can see, is light yellow on the outside, and Gold Nugget is orangish on the outside. So I'm about to cut them open and show you what they look like on the inside. So there we are. As you can see, the Gold Nugget is pretty much the same color on the inside, and if I squeeze it a little bit, you can see they're very, very juicy. I bet your mouth is watering right now. And if you haven't tried Loquat, some people describe it as a apricot mango cross, or apricot with some other tropical flavor. There's the Vista White. Squeeze that. You can see the fruits are very, very juicy. And Vista White is my favorite so far because it's very juicy and very, very, very sweet. And I like sweet fruit. You can see that the Gold Nugget, 4 big seeds in it. Vista White also had about, well, this one has 2 seeds. 2 seeds in that one, and this one I believe had 2 seeds as well. The only one I can't show you is the champagne, because those are all gone. But the champagne is a little bit darker in color on the outside, quite a bit darker yellow actually, and a little bit darker on the inside. So like I mentioned, these are very easy to take care of here in Southern California. Just keep them hydrated during the intense summer heat. But these can even be grown in like Arizona. If you live in Arizona, you can visit Seamus O'Leary's YouTube channel. And then there's the Vegan Athlete, Greenie's Garden. All 3 of them are in Arizona. Or actually, the Vegan Athlete, I believe, moved, but the other 2 guys are still there, and they do good videos on how to grow fruit trees in Arizona. But here in San Diego, if you're just getting into gardening, man, just keep it up, you know, get into it, plant different varieties. I mean, we're pretty spoiled here. It's a lot easier to grow things here, so might as well take advantage of that and grow as much as you can. So these are beautiful trees, and they're often planted as just ornamentals. I don't know if I mentioned they are native to southeastern China, but many years ago they were naturalized in Japan, and they have been grown commercially in Japan for over 1,000 years. Japan is still the #1 producer of Loquat. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is Adrian. Don't forget to subscribe, leave your comments, and hit that like button. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye.